When somebody comes to me and they're like ready to wake up, they're like, I don't care. I have to like this. There's been nothing but suffering here. And I need to move beyond myself. I need to go beyond my identity. I know it. That's great. They got my attention. That's the red hot iron ball you can either spit out or swallow, or it's going to be pretty darn soon. So I'm like, let's strike while the iron's hot. I don't care about that. We don't need to do therapy. We don't need to do anything. Let's go after the identity structure. If that's where somebody is, okay. How they got there doesn't matter. They could have done a bunch of therapy, or they could have done no therapy. I don't even concern myself with that. This is a matter of identity. If somebody isn't quite there, they're interested in awakening. They're like, I like what you talk about. I kind of don't get it. I kind of get it. Something resonates with it, you know. Then I kind of let them guide themselves on what they need to address. They may need to just put energy into one portion of their life and get something sorted out. They may need to do some therapy. They may want to do some somatic work. They may just want to explore a little bit more, and some honestly, like sometimes suffer a little bit more before you finally realize like that's not working. Me trying to be in control of everything is just not fucking working anymore. Sometimes they
Mhm.
have to actually explore that a little more. So I just kind of feel in with them until they are ready to really go directly after it. Um, so I let people lead that. Therapy is like on a huge spectrum, and meaning there are therapists that probably don't help a heck of a lot, probably because they themselves are very very mind identified, maybe have a lot of trauma they haven't addressed. So they may know some techniques, they may be somewhat helpful, but you know how it is being around a human being, that we're very empathic creatures. You're going to pick up everything that person and if they don't care about you, you're not going to really care about what they say. And so there's that end of the spectrum, all the way to the other end of the spectrum where there's extremely heart-based, open, clear, and wide awake therapists. So like anything, there's going to be all kinds of different people in there that you could come in contact with. um, the wide open, clear, awake therapist is going to have a ton to offer you, no matter where you are on this whole spectrum. If it's before awakening, then they will help you work with trauma in a way that doesn't re-identify you with it, or doesn't identify you with it, but help you clear some of that. And then they may start to help you, point you towards awakening when that's really what's in the forefront for you. When there's a significant amount of trauma and repression, you may not even it may not be in your conscious mind, but by doing the work, it may bring it into the conscious mind. I'll talk about myself. When there was enough unconsciousness there, I could do harmful things to people and not even really realize it. You know, now it's not possible to do anything harmful without realizing. It's like impossible not to see immediately what's happening. It's like the top layer of identity was sort of scraped away, and I could see the sort of dark stuff underneath it and all the, identity structures. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that's really what's there. So sometimes even good therapy is just going to sort of remove the uppermost layer, and you're going to see underneath like the emotion body layer of like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, there's actually a lot of trauma here. And the identity, instead of just being lost in thought, may actually start to accumulate around the emotion body, or around those trauma structures. That doesn't mean anything went wrong. It certainly doesn't mean the work you've done is for naught. It may just mean the next step for you is awakening. The next step for you is to really go after that identity structure and see, like, has it worked for me? Even whether it's identifying with trauma or anything else. Has it worked for me? Does it do what it says it's supposed to do? This is a broader statement, but it's something I say in my videos frequently, just so people know. Awakening may feel good at times, but at times it doesn't feel so good. You almost feel less awake. You feel more not necessarily more unconscious, but more unenlightened, because you can't avoid all the stuff that's in here. You can't avoid the anger. You see it there. You feel it there. You feel it wanting to react. That's a huge step from being unconscious to it. You didn't inherit this trauma by choice, of course, but it's been sort of instilled in you, so you're facing it, you're feeling it, you're kind of living with it. It will dissipate over time. A huge part of that will be a shift in identity. It has to be. So again, a more broad statement about therapy and awakening. I wouldn't, you know, without awakening, therapy is only going to go so far. Really, when we talk about really getting to the roots of suffering, in my opinion, it can take you a long way. And it's, if you're not interested in awakening, it doesn't mean therapy is useless. It's certainly not. But when you're someone who is oriented toward this, when you're someone who gets what we're talking about, the therapy will run its course to a point where it really comes down to identity. You really have to confront that identity and move beyond, and then it will open up to a new layer, and then it may have a role later on as well. Other times, very different situation. Some people wake up so fast, and that the identity structures just keep dropping away, that it can be just helpful to have somebody who's really good in the relational field, like an awake therapist, to help them navigate when there's so little left to navigate themselves. There's so little identity there. It's hard to even orient to anything to see what are my beliefs? Why are these behaviors happening? I have no idea. But to a therapist, it'll be completely obvious. And they can just reflect it back to you and you'll pick it up very quickly. And so it can be very efficient work. It can be very rapid work in later stages of realization. Doesn't always mean it's necessary either, but it's something to consider for some people.